And there's probably no better example of this than the work done by the Manhattan Project, the years-long multinational effort to develop an atomic bomb during World War II. It took $2 billion, roughly $25.8 billion of today's dollars, and 100% of the smartest chemists, physicists, and engineers in the US, UK, and Canada to develop and build 4 nuclear weapons. First, the Gadget, the test bomb that was detonated in the desert of New Mexico. Second, Little Boy, which was dropped on Hiroshima, Japan. Fat Man, dropped on Nagasaki, Japan. And a 4th bomb that was thankfully never used. It's because of those bombs that we now live in a world where humans have the wherewithal to destroy ourselves and every other living thing on the planet. And though they effectively ended World War II, atomic bombs started the Cold War, which was almost 50 years of everybody walking around worried that they were going to be incinerated at any moment. But the Manhattan Project is responsible for humanity gaining a lot of information about the atom, and really quickly. If it hadn't been for this top-secret bomb development program, all those physicists wouldn't have been able to collaborate to make this science happen, and it's science that we're still learning from today. An atomic bomb uses an unstable radioactive isotope of uranium or plutonium as the explosive. If you fire a single neutron at a single atom of one of those radioactive isotopes, it can split the atom and shoot out other neutrons, which in turn split neighboring atoms, creating a chain reaction of split atoms in a process called nuclear fission. All of this happens in about 1 picosecond, and then an unbelievable amount of energy and heat is released. The release is so powerful because it unleashes energy from the most powerful force known to physics, the rightly named strong force. Strong force is what holds an atom's nucleus together, pulling protons and neutrons close to one another, but also keeping them from getting too close. It's a very tense, dynamic kind of subatomic push and pull. To give you an idea of what it's like when energy from this force is released, 1 kilogram of nuclear fission fuel can release 20 million times more energy than a kilogram of TNT. But from the perspective of many scientists, particularly those who knew what life was like under the Nazis and Italian fascists, not solving the scientific puzzle of nuclear fission was no longer an option. Because by the time World War II broke out in Europe, Stillard's hunch that fission was possible had been proven by a team of physicists in Berlin. So in 1939, influential physicists, including Szilard, Albert Einstein, who was Jewish and had escaped Nazi Germany, and Enrico Fermi, who had just escaped fascist Italy with his Jewish wife, started pressing President Franklin Roosevelt to start an atomic research program before the Nazis solved the puzzle first. Roosevelt responded by bringing together the brightest minds in physics, chemistry, and engineering to research how to make weapons out of uranium and plutonium, an element that doesn't occur in nature but can be made from uranium-238. It became known as the Uranium Committee. By 1942, with these early puzzles solved, the project was turned over to the United States Army Corps of Engineers and moved to facilities given the code name Manhattan District. But the research actually continued at 3 labs in separate regions of the country, one in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, one in Los Alamos, New Mexico, and another near Richland, Washington. As the labs worked on enriching fuels and basically inventing whole new technologies to go inside the bombs, the project eventually came together at Los Alamos, where young American physicist Robert Oppenheimer, with the magnificent title Coordinator of Rapid Rupture, oversaw the bomb-making operation itself. And Los Alamos actually made 2 such devices, one fueled by uranium and the other by plutonium. The very first bomb, the Gadget, was a plutonium-fueled bomb that was detonated in the desert in southern New Mexico on July 16th of 1945 in an event codenamed Trinity. It was the very first atomic explosion ever to occur on Earth. When it went off in the early morning, observers 10 miles away immediately felt the heat of the blast and said that it was brighter than the sunrise. And we all know what happened next. Within a month of that test, a plutonium bomb was dropped on Nagasaki and a uranium bomb on Hiroshima, killing at least 185,000 people. Soon, the war was over and the atomic age was beginning, a time when, if you wanted to, you could spend every second of your day worrying about whether the world was going to get blown up by people who happened to have gotten their hands on a whole bunch of enriched uranium. It also heralded the beginning of the Cold War, a period of about 50 years in which the United States and the USSR had nuclear warheads pointed at each other all the time, every day. It was terrifying and very tense. But the research done during the Manhattan Project was huge in helping develop nuclear energy, which has had its ups and downs, but it's incredible technology nevertheless. We also have the Manhattan Project to thank for the entire field of nuclear medicine, where radioactive materials are used in medical imaging, diagnosis, and treatments, like for some kinds of cancer. Even modern stem cell research has its roots in the Manhattan Project. And of course, the new understandings of the atom that we obtained in just a few short years brought about enormous advances in nuclear chemistry and nuclear physics that might otherwise have taken generations. Basically, in the 1930s and 40s, we did the impossible. We took the smallest, most seemingly indivisible particle in the universe and we found a way to split it, all so we could make the worst weapon we ever imagined. But we've used that knowledge for a lot of good since then, so I think the take-home here is science can be complicated, but so can history. Thank you.